Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, which airs out of the People's Republic of Ann Arbor every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern on Wham Talk 1600, which can also be podcast if you were a simulcast at davejanda.com every Sunday. And again, we have the podcast up there starting at about 9 p.m. every Sunday night for you to download and network to anyone and everyone you know. The goal of that show and these briefings is to provide you information the bought-off, lamestream, fake media will never provide. The spotlight of today's briefing is on Syria, and in particular, what happened starting April 6th. As we know, on Friday, April 6th, through President Trump and his administration, 59 cruise missiles were launched into Syria. The premise for that attack was to send a message to Assad, to Syria, to Russia, that chemical weapons are not to be used on innocents. We don't want chemical weapons used on anyone, innocent or guilty. As background, I'm not only a physician, but I actually obtained a degree in chemistry and my road to becoming a physician. So I have a chemistry background or a chemist background. When I reviewed the videos of the chemical attack that led to this cruise missile attack by the Trump administration, I was concerned about what I was seeing. And the reason is because this chemical attack that supposedly was a sarin gas attack, as a physician, as a chemist, I can tell you that was not a sarin gas attack. Sarin attacks the nervous system and stops the muscles that help you breathe. You suffocate. You seize. Any person trying to help those individuals that touches those individuals with their skin or their bare hands will die within 1 to 10 minutes. And as I was watching the videos and watching these rescuers, they had no hazmat suits. They had no protection on their hands. They were handling these people. Even their clothes for 30 minutes will emanate the sarin gas, and the rescuers will die, yet they weren't dying. I believe it was more of a chlorine gas attack. And why is that important? Because we know rebels, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS have used chlorine gas on innocents as well in Syria. I was concerned, actually, the provider of this gas could well have been related to rebels, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, individuals that their pictures were John McCain, the globalist, had met with prior. I mean, he had just been there within a month before this latest attack. Yet the attack occurred, and I was very concerned about what might be going on, because remember, a day or two prior to that, Steve Bannon, President Trump's populist advisor, who, for the most part, it's my understanding, is more of a non-interventionalist and say, hey, let's make America great again, let's not nation build, was removed from the National Security Council. And it appeared that a general by the name of McMaster, who's the national security advisor for President Trump, was gaining more and more power. Now, why do I find that troubling? He might be a great general, but he's also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, a globalist think tank. These are the bad guys, the CFR. They're not the good guys. So Bannon's moved out, McMaster gets more power, all of a sudden we're sending cruise missiles in. Now, in addition, there was timing of this attack. At the time this attack occurred, our cruise missiles going in, President Trump was having dinner with the president of China, Xi Jinping, who was in Florida to meet at a summit with President Trump. Good. It's interesting, it did come out later that the Trump administration had given Putin and the Russians a couple hours notice ahead of the attack, and Assad a couple hours notice before the attack. Well, that couple hours notice might have prevented World War III, because remember, Russia and Assad have said if there's an attack on our soil, that's an act of war. So, and remember, Trump previously has said, I'm not going to give a heads up when I'm going to give an attack. So now we're getting some kind of dichotomy of what's really going on here. In addition, remember the tweets Trump had from 2013 telling Obama, don't get involved in Syria on this potential false premise of a chemical attack on the civilians. We don't belong there. We're never going to get out of there. It's a quagmire. So we have Trump before and now what's happening. And then the question is what's really going on here? You see, there are two scenarios. As I point out on the show, Operation Freedom, this past Sunday, one is that he was bamboozled by McMaster and some of the other generals and essentially instituted this attack under false premises. Now, Donald Trump is a brilliant man. You don't get to where he is in the White House or in business by being a dope. He's smart. Many times he plays chess when everybody else is playing checkers. That's how he got where he is. So I don't believe he was bamboozled. The other option is, look, he has the president of China there. He has a problem in North Korea with Kim. China controls North Korea. Why not show Xi Jinping, the president of China, firsthand the force that he's willing to implement to get the job done? So the second option is he used the cruise missiles into Syria, as you will, as a psyops against China to influence North Korea and potentially remove Kim from power in North Korea. That's what I really thought was going on. And I still do. But there's a concern I've had over the past 48 hours, and that is the brilliant military minds I've spoken to who have access to information, and some folks in the intelligence community are very concerned because it appears McMaster and General Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, have moved potentially, as I understand it, a huge number of ground troops of the United States into Syria. And that now makes it, as opposed to we're sending a message to China through this act that we pre-telegraphed with Putin and Assad, that moves it from this Psy-Ops operation into potentially now we're potentially biting the apple of the globalists, and the globalists have always wanted us to go to war with Russia. Remember, right after this cruise missile attack, who was up in arms saying, this is great? Hillary Clinton, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Bill Kristol. ISIS even said this is great. So did Al-Qaeda. All of these are entities of the globalist syndicate. And if they're for it and voicing support for it, we need to sit back and go, wait a minute, is this really what we want? Here's what I think we need to do, folks. I think we need to really keep our antennas up. And we need to make sure that we're not embarking into World War III. Remember, Donald Trump was elected to make America great again. He wasn't elected to institute regime change in Syria or anywhere else around the world. One thing we can do is we can call the White House and we can say, look, we support you, Mr. President. We want you to make America great again. But we don't think making America great again comes through regime change in Syria. That just plays into globalist playbook and will, I believe, institute World War III with Russia. We'll have more information on this coming Sunday. Tune in, davejanda.com. You can stream the show live, 2 to 5 Eastern. And you can always check us out on our podcast at Dave Janda as well. Until next time, this is Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail.